For 7 days, Jewish communities around the world celebrated the holiday of Sukkot, sitting outside in temporary dwellings, relaxing in structures that are open to the heavens above. For 7 days, we exhaled from the tremendous weight of Yom Kippur, and we found release in the sweet fragrance of the etrog. Many of you were there a few weeks ago when we sat outside in our sukkah and we sang those words we just sang, Ufros aleinu sukkot shlomecha, God spread over us a shelter of your peace. And then on the final day of the holiday, as we read the last words of Torah and prepared to begin our sacred book again, we were shaken from the tranquility of the sukkah to a shocking, horrifying reality outside of its walls. Our shelter of peace was gone. Maybe it was all a mirage to begin with. It felt like a hallucination. With each passing hour, more information, more images, each one more devastating than the last emerged. And I'm going to say it like it is. We saw lifeless bodies strewn about, covered in blood. I don't actually want to say the next few words. They were Jewish bodies. And like many of you, I couldn't turn away that day, and I haven't since. Even as it sickens me and fills me with disgust, I watch. And I feel that this is a moral duty to watch in order to understand. What does evil look like? A grandmother, Yafa Adar, 85 years old, on a golf cart. Shani look, unclothed in the back of a truck, surrounded by terrorists who chant, God is great. A mother, Shiri Bibas, clutching her two children, Ariel 4 and Kfir 9 months, all of them now captives. And kibbutz Ba'ari. One journalist said after touring the kibbutz, walking through here is like Eisenhower walking through Bergen-Belsen and seeing the destruction and carnage. The world needs to witness this firsthand. And so they let 50 journalists walk around to see while there were still flames. A week in, there are too many stories to hold, and grappling with the anguish and suffering feels impossible. For what happened last Shabbat was an abhorrent assault on what we hold most dear. And that is the human project. The idea that every human being was created in the image of God and is of intrinsic worth. Hamas's actions constituted not resistance, but an unambiguous transgression against the core of human existence. But I want to emphasize unequivocally that this was a targeted assault on the Jewish people and on the existence of the Jewish state. This was an act of anti-Jewish hate, which is a hate that we know that runs deep through history. The town of Kfar Aza and Nachal Or, of Kibbutz Ba'ari and Sderot, these are not the first towns to be pummeled by inhumane savages, they're just the latest. For centuries, people have attacked Jewish villages, killing, slaughtering, abducting innocent people for no other reason than the fact that they are Jews. And Rabbi Crawley said earlier, that's why we have a prayer for captives. That's why the Talmudic debates debate what to do with the captives, because we know what it's like to have people taken captive. In the 11th century Rhineland, it was the Crusaders. 17th century Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, it was the Cossacks. Red Army, Ukrainian and Polish officials, the Einsatz group, and the Nazis. Maybe I was naive, I think I was, to believe that Jews were safer in the present than in history's darkest chapters. I never, ever imagined that I or my children would be forced to confront a pogrom in our lifetime. What century is this? But the roots of Jew hatred run unfathomably deep. And for this reason, regrettably, our generation has now witnessed yet another tragedy to add to the Jewish story. I never, ever want to be a Jew who centers victimhood. I think that's why I came to Temple Micah, because we are not a community that celebrates victimhood. We celebrate joy, and we are forward-looking. But I can't stop thinking about the words that we say from our Passover Haggadah, Elisha bechol dor vador omdim aleinu l'chalotenu. In every generation, enemies have stood over us to annihilate us. I don't want these words. Yet each generation has its own story to tell, and now this is ours. It's been said, we've all heard it, that Jews don't despair. And that's true. But let it be known that while Jews don't despair, we do kindle a furious flame of anger. And right now, this is what I feel. I feel rage. It pours from my skin all week. My heart, aching for the dead, is stone. The images have scorched my eyes, and in turn, my eyes glare fire, and it hurts. I'm angry over the staggering loss of innocent life. That should be enough said. But there's the desecration of the life. I'm angry at the way these people died. The mothers, the elderly people murdered in their homes as they slept or danced. And the way they have been posthumously defiled as the images of their desecrated bodies have been uploaded to social media. I'm angry at Netanyahu, who acted selfishly. He catered to the demands of religious extremists and right-wing nationalists as to divide a country. I'm angry that Israeli soldiers were stationed in the West Bank, when they should have been near Gaza, protecting the people of Gaza instead of the settlers. I'm angry that on Monday, as the bodies were still being wrapped in body bags, as newspapers reported on the shocking states at which those lifeless bodies were found, as the details of the hostage situation became more clear, as Israelis wept over family members, their loved ones, their neighbors, all the while running for cover from rocket attack, a celebration was held in Times Square. A young woman representing the Palestinian youth movement spoke, all smiles, and I watched. She said, "Thank you all for being here, for raising your voices to celebrate the glorious victory of the resistance." And she was not alone. We know that similar pro-Palestinian crowds gathered worldwide to revel in the slaughter of Jews. Outside the Opera House in Sydney, Australia, the crowd chanted, "Gas the Jews." As Ani Wilsensky and Isaac de Castro perfectly put it in Tablet this week, you can support Palestinian statehood. I do. In fact, you can have any opinion you want about the regional politics in the Middle East. You can think whatever you want and still believe that jihadist terrorists abducting 85-year-old Holocaust survivors should be condemned. It was too early for those celebrations or for anything like it. I'm angry because of the student groups at universities that released statements saying something along the lines of, "We hold the Israeli regime entirely responsible for all unfolding violence." I'm angry that Hamas's actions force us to make decisions that go against our moral compass as the only means of protecting ourselves. And I'm worried. I think this is a reason for my tears tonight. I'm worried about what's going to happen, what we're going to do that's against our moral compass. I'm angry, and I'm confused. I don't understand how individuals aligned with progressive ideologies appeared this week to accept dehumanization by minimizing the serious nature of the atrocities carried out by Hamas. Where are our allies? Who stands with Israel? How come when you go around our city, there's Ukrainian flags everywhere, but I drove around and I looked and I saw one Israeli flag? Where are the activists? What support we have seen, and there's been some, and I want to recognize that support. I felt it today at the rally down in Freedom Plaza. There were ambassadors from Italy, from Hungary, from the UK, from France, and they all spoke. But I fear that some of this support is going to weaken. The world will call for restraint as Israel defends herself from terrorism, from atrocious barbarians who want to paint the land with Jewish blood until there's none left flowing. That's what they say. We'll see more of what's already begun, a double standard and oftentimes a detached moral equivalence. My sister-in-law Hannah Myers expressed this week in City Journal that in the weeks ahead, people will rank empathy over any considerations of Israeli security, justice, or future peace. I know that we already know that Israel's military response will be powerful. And it pains me to think about all the innocent people who we know are going to die. And, not but, and not pursuing retribution, in my mind, amounts to a silent endorsement of the atrocious evil deeds carried out by Hamas against Jews. And herein lies the reason for the Israeli military and the state of Israel. They're there to defend Jews. Throughout Jewish history, we had no way to fight back. Our people were helpless. I think about the person who wrote in his own blood after a pogrom in 1941, and there's a picture of it online. He wrote, Jewish revenge, nekama, revenge. But he died, and we had no one to fight back for us, and yes, to avenge us. And so the priority, as all Israelis painfully know, is to terminate Hamas's governance. And the priority is pidyon shvu'im, redeeming the captives, getting those children especially home in their beds. And I thought while we were singing Shema tonight, I hope there's someone who they put these children with who says to them Shema Yisrael before they go to sleep, if that's something that they're doing. I hope someone is with them. How all of the next few weeks are going to unfold, I don't know, and I'm terrified. And what about us? What are we going to do? All of this feels like a tremendous weight. But that's okay. Because like Rabbi Crawley said at the beginning of a service, we are in a period of Shiva, of the 7 days of mourning. This is the way we mark time. In these 7 days, anger is an acceptable response, deep sorrow, anxiety, fear, lacking the right words to say, wanting to just sit in quiet. This is what Shiva is for. But moving forward, we're going to need to find strength and our moral compass, as Jews always have. We'll need to seek out hope, as Jews always have. Where is that hope? Just a few ideas. We saw Israelis this week standing in line to donate blood. We saw high schoolers who said, how can I help? And how could they help? Does anyone else see this story? They needed people to dig graves. So there are high schoolers who are volunteering to dig graves. Today at the rally, I saw hope in a sign that a young woman had that said, I promise to love being Jewish more than anyone hates me for it. Today we got an email from Nani's cousin who'd been called up to fight, and he said from his base, we are all here, spirits are high, my phone keeps ringing with people who want to enlist, but we're fully booked. The love and support we are getting from the citizens around us is incredible. We're finally united again. What our enemies have never understood, writes Yossi Klein Halevi, what our enemies have never understood is that when they try to break us with some unimagined horror, we become more determined. I don't know what that determination looks like, but I want to find it. And so we hold hands and stand together and sing together so beautifully. We stand for Israel. We stand for Jewish communities everywhere who have a fear right now, fear of gathering. And most of all, we pray for human dignity to be upheld, human dignity. And maybe one day we'll be back in our shelter of peace, in our sukkah, singing again, Ufros aleinu sukkot shlomecha, and they will be better days. Od tireh, kama tov yehiyeh, bashana haba'ah. Come with me, you will see just how sweet life will be in the year to come. This is our hope.